to another episode of HomeTech.fm. Jason Griffin here, and so happy to be with you. As you may or may not know, things have been a little bit crazy for me, and haven't been able to sit in on a lot of recordings lately, and I am happy to say that I am fully moved and getting settled here in Denver, and looking forward to getting back into the full swing of things. Kind of keeping with our pattern that we have going here of things being a little bit crazy. Seth, my co-host, is not able to join us this evening, so you've got me here solo for this episode. Seth had something come up, and frankly, I think he deserves the week off. He shouldered quite a bit of the work while I was going through this relocation from Los Angeles to Denver, and really appreciate all the extra work that he did to keep the show going while I was kind of out of the fray there. But here we are. I'm kind of back into the swing of things and looking forward to sharing this episode with you. We had a great conversation that we're looking forward to sharing here with Alexei Erchak. He's the CEO and co-founder of a company called BeON. And, I could tell you about the product, but I think we cover it pretty thoroughly in the interview. It's a smart light bulb, but it's got a lot of intelligence beyond what you think of when you initially hear that. So I want to make sure that you dive in and listen to the full interview, because this really is an innovative product. At its core, really what makes it different is that it's a security product. It enhances the security and the life safety of your home versus just being a light that you can kind of control and change the color of with an app. It's very, very different from that. And I really enjoyed the conversation with Alexei, and encourage you to listen to the entire interview. I thought it was great. But before we jump into that, I do want to say that speaking of my transition here to Denver, I'll be starting a position next week. Actually, the day that this show comes out will be my first day at the company. The company's called Harrison Home Systems here in Denver, and it just so happens that we are hiring, and I know that we have a lot of integrators in the audience who listen to the show, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but I do want to give the company a plug. I think that the team is great. Really, I know George, the owner, is a big fan of the show. Him and his wife, Casa, run the company, and really a great couple. I'm excited to get started with them. And George and I had talked just the other day about getting started there, and he mentioned that they're hiring, and I told him I'd give it a plug on the show. So if you or anyone you know in the Denver market is looking for work, we are hiring. Specifically, we're looking for kind of strong lead techs, people that have experience with Savant, Lutron lighting, Lutron shades are a major plus. And, we're looking for long-term people that have aspirations to grow maybe into a project management role or something along those lines. Definitely feel free to reach out to me. You can do that at jason@HomeTech.fm, or you can stop by the website, HomeTech.fm/feedback, fill out the contact form there. And again, just want to mention that if you or anyone you know is interested in a new career opportunity with a growing company in the systems integration business, please feel free to reach out, jason@HomeTech.fm. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the interview here with Alexei Erchak. Alexei, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us on the show. How are you?
I'm great. Glad to be here, Jason.
All right. Awesome. Yeah, you got it. Been looking forward to the conversation. So we're going to obviously jump here, shortly into a conversation about your product, the BeON home line, and we'll get into that and kind of what that product's all about, what makes it unique, and why people should be interested. But before we jump into that, why don't you just give our listeners a quick sort of personal background and maybe an introduction to some of what you've done, maybe even, going back prior to your current role?
Sure. So I started my first company out of MIT back in 2002. Spent over a decade running that company, which is longer than I expected to. It was an LED company that made LEDs for some of the first LED televisions. We developed that technology, had a lot of fun there. Eventually ended up selling that company off, and now I'm working on BeON. I have two other co-founders that convinced me to go down the startup path again, and so we're having a lot of fun building BeON.
Awesome. That's great. Well, as I mentioned to you kind of before we started recording here, Seth, who's not with us tonight, but he and I are both professional systems integrators, and a big part of what we do is installing, in addition to smart home and home automation products, we also do obviously a lot of audio visual. So I think that's really interesting. A lot of our listeners are also systems integrators, and we do a lot of work with, TVs and projectors. And it sounds like you have a very interesting background in that. What would you mind sharing the name of that previous company?
Sure. The company was called Luminous Devices. We were a component supplier, but probably of more relevance here is what end products they went into.
Sure.
But, and I still have one. It went into the LED DLP televisions. So going back to kind of circa 2006 to 2008 timeframe when flat panels were a bit more expensive than they are now. The kind of the only way you could have a 1080p, 50-inch and above Super Bowl viewing experience was to use a DLP television.
Mm-hmm.
So just absolutely beautiful television, beautiful images, and all at an affordable price. And what we did was we made LEDs that would replace the lamp so that you don't ever have to essentially service your television, which is something nobody wants to do. And we were kind of the only game in town doing that. We sold the LEDs to Samsung and others. And it was really a real successful technology, something that we were really proud of.
That's very cool. I'll be sure to do a little bit of research on that. And for anybody listening who may be curious to learn more about your background, I'll include some links to that in our show notes. But let's move on to the matter at hand here. And before we jump into some of the more specific information, and we'll talk about the features and the technology of your current product line, but just kind of give our listeners the elevator pitch here. What is BeON, and where did the idea stem from?
Yeah, so BeON is a completely new approach to not just home security, but full home protection. Despite security being the most important thing in people's homes, very few people actually own a security system, and those that do, a little less than a third actually activate their security systems. So there's an unmet need for what we believe is really a new approach, a new look at how to do home security. So what we did, and I'll tell you a little bit about the background of the company, but the first product we came out with, it was a home protection system that does preventative security. So it makes it look like you're home when you're not. It listens to the doorbell and turns on the lights in a way to make it look like you're waking up and stirring throughout the house. And it provides things like emergency lighting, which, if you think about it, you have emergency lighting everywhere in your life except at home, except where your kids are, where your family is, which is really shocking, right? I mean, it's the one place you should have emergency lighting and you don't. So we provide lighting during power outages, and we provide the lights turn on instantly if there is a smoke or a fire alarm, for example. So what we do is we capture all of these experiences, and we're very demanding on the design. We wanted the entire experience to be as simple as screwing in a light bulb. So when you buy our product, that's actually what you see. You see 3 smart modules where all the intelligence is, and we hide them in these beautiful 800 lumen LED bulbs. So that just kind of stay out of your way. They don't clutter up your home at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very cool. I love the idea. I've obviously familiarized myself with the product, and it looks very intriguing. I think it's the approach and kind of this idea of being proactive and using technology in the home in that sort of proactive way versus reactive. I mean, we see a lot of products hitting the market right now that'll give you alerts, and they'll give you a lot of data and stuff like that, but it's all pretty much reactive. And so, I'll ask kind of for your thoughts on that, the importance of that proactive technology, and how actually this light bulb is kind of a more intelligent product than a lot of what we see coming out on the market right now that's calling itself smart lighting. And talk about what really differentiates you and the importance in your mind of that kind of proactive approach.
Yeah, so a couple different things in there. First, I'll address the need to be proactive. We really think we're leading a trend here, especially in security, to be more proactive. Having a constantly vibrating Apple Watch that's sending you nonstop messages about what's going on in your home, you kind of just stop paying attention. You just tune out. And even if you are paying attention, it doesn't really do you a lot of good to get a high definition video sent to you of your home being trashed, right? The emotional damage has already been done. You'll never feel safe there again. So what we try to do is prevent things from happening in the first place, not just with security, but even, with safety. So the instant on exit lighting, the fire engine will arrive eventually, but you got to act now, right? You got to get your family out of the house right away. So we try to cover that entire period of time from before an event occurring, before a possible home intrusion occurring, to when it's happening during a fire or a carbon monoxide alarm. And we try to provide really fundamental value there for homeowners and renters alike to provide full home protection. So it's kind of like we see traditional security systems really, if you think about it, they're really backup systems, right? They're a necessary piece, but it's the fallback plan, right? You should stop these things happening in the first place and be proactive in the first place.
Right. So I want to talk a little bit about that specific example of the life safety thing and kind of the path lighting should you have a fire or some sort of incident in your home. How does that work? What is the mechanism for these lights actually, what is the trigger for them to know when to turn on and when to illuminate that path for you?
Yeah, so it just listens for smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. We only listen to specific sounds. So it's not like it's a device. There's no concerns about privacy or anything. It only activates when it hears the signature sound, like a smoke or a fire alarm. And you train it yourself by pushing the test button on your smoke alarm. So it's just dead simple. We really tried to make everything just really as easy as screwing in a light bulb. If it's any more complicated than that, we work harder to force it to be simple. Same thing with the doorbell. So when a potential intruders always do the doorbell check because it's too risky to go into an occupied home. The penalties are much higher. They could encounter someone. They could get hurt. They could get killed. And this is how intruders think. And so if there's you want to create doubt in their mind. And so the replay lighting and the listening for the doorbell, turning the lights on in a sequence that makes it look like someone's there, are highly, highly effective deterrents that have been validated by security professionals and criminals alike. Former criminals alike always look for unoccupied homes first.
Yeah. I got to say, I love that idea. So you said you actually can train these light bulbs and sort of learn the sounds into them. So you can teach it, for instance, to listen to the sound of your specific doorbell. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's right. Just like the test button on the smoke alarm, you just ring your doorbell a couple times and it says, okay, got it. I understand your doorbell sound specific for your home, and you're ready to go. It's no more complicated than that.
That's very cool. One other follow-up question on that is, could you train the light bulbs to listen to multiple sounds? For instance, could I train a light bulb kind of in my main entryway to listen for maybe both the doorbell and the sound of like glass breaking, for instance? I know with a lot of security systems, a glass break sensor is a very common feature.
Yeah, glass breaking is actually relatively straightforward for us to do. It's something we'll be introducing down the road. What's nice about this system is it's pretty easy for us to provide software updates that enhance the experience. We can do a lot of other sounds as well. So we just basically have tried to prioritize and do the most important ones first. But we've had a lot of questions about, can you expand and do door knocking? Door knocking is something that's more complicated because of the variability. If everybody used a door knocker and it was the same exact door knocker in everyone's home, then it'd be an easier thing to do. But so we're starting with doorbell. We'll move to glass breakage, and then we'll just continue expanding from there. And one of the nice things about this product, if if you've looked at it, you'll notice that it's entirely modular. And that's deliberate so that we can add new modules with new experiences and new use cases. And the real long-term vision here is to get people to effectively construct a smart home one socket at a time, but without ever selling you a platform, right? I mean, it's more about what are those really important use cases that people care about. And this allows people to customize their home any way they want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you kind of alluded there, and it makes perfect sense to kind of focusing on some of those core use cases first and getting the product out there. And as I understand it anyways, you guys are a pretty new product. So before we go any further, I want to ask, is this product currently shipping? Is the product available right now, or is this still kind of a pre-order type of deal?
Yeah, so we're eating up the backlog. It is shipping right now. We're going first out to our Kickstarter backers because that's the community that was there early on, you know, and so we want to make sure that we fulfill those orders first. So you can order right now on our website to essentially get in line, and we'll get those orders out to you as soon as we can. So all of the production is happening now. The product is fully developed, UL certified, passes all FCC requirements, and it's we do have some beta testing in the field right now from select Kickstarter backers who signed up to be our beta testers. So we have hundreds of bulbs out there we're getting very good feedback on. We're working out any of the bugs to make sure that we have just an absolutely seamless, wonderful experience for our customers.
Gotcha. And, we'll definitely come back to this and we can plug it again towards the end. But if there's anybody listening, you alluded to your website. And if somebody's anxious to maybe go check that out, what is the website? Yeah,
it's BeOnHome.com. So BeON home.com. And you can find all kinds of information there about how the product works and learn a little bit more about it. There are some videos up there that describe, how you would literally what you'll do as you unbox the product when you receive the product. And there's some videos that capture the experience and all kinds of fun things to tinker around with to show what the experience does.
Awesome. Well, that, speaking of kind of the unboxing process here on Home Tech, our focus is largely on the end user experience. That's really where we operate and kind of what we have chosen to focus our show on. So let's talk about that for a minute. If I'm a consumer and I go out and I purchase the product, just walk me through what I can expect from that initial unboxing and installation process.
Great. So right when you open the box, you'll see your smart modules, all the intelligence and all the value that you purchased. And you'll also see the accompanying LED bulbs that come with the product. You pop the modules in, you'll see the bulbs light up, which is kind of entertaining for people right out of the box. They're holding a light bulb in their hand that's not plugged into a socket, and it's illuminated. So they're already starting to experience what the product is. It's cool to the touch because it's LED. So you're holding a light bulb that's not hot. And it also provides kind of a little flashlight as you screw it into the socket. So right out of the box, there's all of these things happening that are changing the way people think about the bulbs and about the light socket. And we kind of start the journey at T = 0, so to speak, right when the box is opened. And then you screw in the bulbs, and then we say you just live your life. You go about your normal behavior, and what happens is everybody in your family, as they go about using their light switches, there's no rewiring. You don't have to change your switches. In fact, we demand that the switches stay the same because people know their switches and they're familiar with them. So screw in, it's a box of 3 bulbs. You screw them in, you live your life, and it starts recording your lighting patterns so that when you go out of the house for the night or if you go on vacation, you can replay, kind of like a DVR for your lighting. You can replay your lighting patterns so that it will look like you're still at home.
Yeah, I love that idea. And I want to jump in a little bit more to kind of how that works on the intelligence level. But before we do, I think I want to touch on something so we don't miss it, because this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart and something I talk about a lot on this show. And that's the importance of just kind of traditional, or at least somewhat traditional, tactile control. So lighting switches, or in some of the higher end homes we work on, it's a keypad. But the importance there being that it's not entirely or exclusively app based. You're not trying to reprogram people's natural behavior. So can you talk about it sounds to me like on some of the videos I've watched of you talk and some of the research I've done on your product, that was a very important thing to you. And I'd like you to just kind of elaborate on, in your opinion, the importance of that.
Yeah, the foundation of the company was that we fundamentally believe that the gating item to smart home adoption has nothing to do with the availability of cool technology or even cool designs. Mm-hmm. It's the experience. The experience has to be seamless, and it has to work for the whole family. I mean, the home, and you guys, I'm sure, know this, is very unique compared to. It's not like your phone where you can personalize it for yourself. It can't just be one person in the home that this product works for. It's got to work for everybody. So we really took that to heart and made it a fundamental design principle that created tremendous engineering challenges for our team, that it would be much easier to replace the light switch. It would be much easier to have people control their lights with their phone. But what we did was we said, look, people like to use their light switches. That's what they're familiar with. Let's leave that alone. And let's bring out any experience, any emergency experience, or any setting, or all the other stuff that the product does. We'll put that control in the app. So, for example, all throughout your daily life, your whole family use the light switches. When there's a power outage, then we transfer the control to your phone, because that's a unique situation, right? So there, it's okay. We want to use the phone at that point to turn your lights on and control things. Then you get the whole family together, and then you can, light candles and play Monopoly. But but that initial point in time when the lights go out, you want the control right with your phone, right? So those are the only times where we try to bring customers to the point of using their phone to control their lights, because it's a new situation. Everyday life, keep using the light switches, and it's interesting. What we've done is, when if your 5-year-old is using the light switches, they're doing two things. One is they're programming the system without even knowing it, and they are charging your bulbs without even knowing it. And because there's a battery in there, so that the lights work during a power outage, and so that the system can continue to work even if the light switch is in the off position, which is extremely important for a security system, because you're never going to get everybody to remember to leave all their light switches on. So we're against adding new steps in your life in the home. It just be seamless. We've got enough steps. We've got enough things to do. It's got to be absolutely seamless right from out of the box.
Yeah, definitely. That was actually going to be my next question, and you kind of proactively answered it. Was, okay, well, these lights in my home, I put them in, and now they're learning my behavior, and then my wife and I leave town for the weekend, and I turn the switch off. Like, how does the light work? Because a lot of smart lights that we see on the market right now, if you turn the switch off, you've killed all that functionality. And so I was going to ask how that's accomplished, and I figured I kind of knew the answer. It seems relatively simple, but I'm sure there was a lot of engineering challenges there, and maybe you can speak to that sort of decision and some of the challenges that you encountered designing a product that would work seamlessly with the way that we're all used to controlling our home, but still function when that light switch is off.
Yeah. So it was absolutely critical, and it created enormous headaches for the design and technical team. But it's so important for the design to have that be the case. So when you leave the light switch off, the system will continue to work. It'll continue to do the lighting replay. It'll continue to listen for smoke and fire alarms, all of those things. The only exception to that rule is if you're going away on an extended vacation. If you're going away on an extended vacation, we prompt you through the app to leave those light switches on, and then those bulbs will go off, and they'll do the normal pattern because you're putting it in away mode, and it'll continue to do the lighting replay as long as you're away.
That makes sense, and that segues perfectly into another question I had, and this comes down to just trying to think how I want to word this. So it sounds like your product is doing a lot of its own thinking, so to speak, and it's making a lot of decisions for you. And we've talked about the reasons why that is and why that's important. But how much control do I get as an end user? Let's say to go in and maybe edit that. If I want the lights to maybe go on a simple schedule for the evening, can I sort of override some of that automatic learning that it's done? Or, I think you get my question, and maybe you can talk address that.
Yeah. Yep. So what we're going to do is we're kind of starting from the opposite end and working backwards. So we're starting with just ultra simplicity, and then from there we'll open up settings and controls. So, for example, that lighting sequence replay for when your doorbell rings, you can change the time, the delay between lights turning on. Because obviously, if you ring a doorbell, you wouldn't a would-be intruder wouldn't expect the light to turn on immediately. They would expect there to be a delay and then the light, and then they'd expect there to be another delay until the next light turns on. So you can customize all of that. In terms of, the replay, what we'll do is we'll make it discrete. So if you don't think there's enough activity, there'll be a single button that says add activity, right?
Okay.
But it won't be like, and then eventually we'll allow you to do real kind of rigorous changing of the program. But we kind of want to avoid people having to work, right?
Yeah.
We don't want you to have to do a lot of work for this. So we just want to make it really, really simple and really effective.
Yeah, no, I think your answer makes perfect sense. I mean, there's pros and cons to adding this sort of functionality, and some of our listeners might want that ability to get in there and be really finite with tweaking and things like that. But I think the vast majority of the market, the mainstream market, they don't need that. They don't necessarily want it. They just want a product that they can kind of install and then not think about. And if it's adding, a layer of either convenience or security or whatever it is to their lives, then they're happy, and that's that. But definitely, I think that there's that core group of people out there, that might want that additional sort of finite control. So I certainly thought it was worth discussing. Speaking of,
and we'll be responsive to that too. If we have a number of customers say, look, I like the add activity buttons, but I really want to get in there. Then what we'll do is we're going to create an interface that's just really, really easy to program, and when you see our app and you see the there's a feature where you can actually stand outside of your house and watch what your home will look like over a couple of days in just a couple of minutes. So it's like putting your DVR on fast forward. It's like putting your home on fast forward and see what it would look like. So it's a really cool feature that allows you to see the system in action. So we would want it to be kind of in that environment where people can say, okay, on Tuesday, I want to add some lights, and then you can replay it again and see it go, right? So it'll be really kind of a fun interface to build your replay. There's one, I want to mention one feature that I forgot, and that's because it's kind of like one of those things we want people to discover as they use their product. And that's, how you're, when you get out of the car, the light slowly fades down. Yep. It's really a safety feature to give you a chance to look in and make sure you didn't forget your bag or a pet. So when you turn your light switches off, our lights slowly fade to give you enough time to get across the room or up the stairs. And it's one of these features that you start to not be able to live without. Right, you're just like, okay, I can't believe I spent my whole life wandering around in darkness in my house to get across the room. Like, it's ridiculous, right? This feature should have always been there. So that's kind of this daily reminder of the product adding value to your life. So it's not just, it's not like a traditional security system is more kind of an insurance policy that you pay for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think I'll kind of dovetail on that and say that it speaks to in my opinion, the intelligence that, you guys made a decision to try to work with existing technology. And if I have a light switch in my house, you've now given me the ability to convert that just simple on-off switch essentially to a dimmer, right? In a way, at least. I mean, I can't dim it and leave it at a certain level. And maybe I'm wrong there.
You actually, okay, well, you actually can. And when the product rolls out, we're going to show people, and maybe exclusively for your listeners, you can I'll just kind of give it away here. But what happens is when the light is slowly fading, you'll be able to flick the switch back up, and it'll hold kind of at a night light or whatever you want. So
cool.
It's really kind of clever and cool. But we want to just slowly introduce people to these things, right? Because we don't want it to be too abrasive from what they're used to. So we will take them on this journey slowly and kind of change the mental model on how you interact with your light switch and how you interact with your light sockets. Yeah.
Well, awesome. You even preempted me there. But I mean, I can just envision that for me. I just moved into a new place here, and we've got a switch at our front door that controls one of the main lights in our living room. And at night, I have to go turn that off and then walk backwards through a dark living room to get to the hallway that goes down to the bedroom. So even just, it might sound like a small thing, but that would be very nice to have, just the ability to go, turn that switch off and then have the light do like a 10 or 15 second fade. I think it's just a nice feature. And I think, like you said, it's about adding those little touches and that little bit of value to the consumers.
That little bit of love that you see on a daily basis.
Exactly.
That's what we're going after.
Exactly. So I want to ask really quickly, I want to make sure we get to this. It sounds like obviously there is at least an app that you use to interact with the lights. Is that correct? I mean, I know it's not the primary point of control, and is that app for iOS and Android, or is it just iOS only right now?
Yeah, it'll be for both. We're doing iOS first, but we've already, because of the interest in the product and some of the demand we're seeing, we've already authorized the team to start with the Android development. So it'll be a fast follower. We see the demand. And we're certainly not, we have no preference. We want to make it available for everybody.
Got it. And another question I want to make sure we hit on, because a lot of times you don't hear conversations about this, but just a very simple and in my opinion, very important part of this product is the quality and the efficiency of the light output. I mean, it's obviously the light has a lot of intelligence and it's doing a lot of great things for me, but that doesn't do a lot for me if the light looks horrible or I'm not a big fan of, the color of it or whatever it is. Maybe talk about just, did you put some thought and some muscle behind kind of the quality and the efficiency of the light in itself?
Yeah, so that's where a lot of our lighting background comes into play here is, and also the design of the product from the beginning. Not only the quality of the light, which is it's 800 lumens, which most smart bulbs are not if you test them. So it's 800 lumens of beautiful, warm LED light. It lasts, essentially forever. It lasts for more than 22 years. And we really went overboard on the design of the quality of the light because we frankly can afford to do that because the value we're creating is the security and safety, not the light. So we're not in this price war with other light bulbs. We're not even on the same field. We're on this totally different game. So we can overinvest in making an absolutely beautiful light. Now, in our opinion, you have to do that because no matter what the product does, if it ruins your home decor, it's not going to pass the spouse approval test, right? It's going to go right in the closet. Even the form factor, if you look at our bulbs, it's identical to normal light bulb form factors. So we literally ran around to lighting stores, putting our bulb in different fixtures and putting it in sconces and making sure that the bulb doesn't peek out above the sconce because that'll be really annoying for people, right? If they constantly see it. So we really went overboard in making sure it's absolutely the same in form factor and even better in light quality. So we make an A lamp, and we will also be coming out with a BR30 for the recessed cans. So same module, just different bulbs that it fits into. So look for that as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're kind of running up against our time here, and I don't want to keep you, but I do want to address a question that presumably is in the minds of probably some of our listeners who are, work in the professional installation field, and a number of them are security dealers. Is this a product that you're working with security dealers on? Is it strictly a straight to consumer product? So you can address this question in two parts if you want, and that is, kind of the sales channels, and then as well as, kind of how does the technology either compete, or maybe it's a complementary technology to what these guys are actually out there doing already?
Yeah, I think you answered your own question. We work very closely with security dealers because it's the only complementary security solution out there. It brings totally different value to customers, things like emergency lighting. So it's not another security camera or another motion sensor. This is a whole different animal. So we've embraced the security dealers, and they've really pulled us in. They've helped us with our pricing, and we're now providing some beta units to dealers as well to evaluate. So they're a big part of our future, security dealers. We're at all of the security shows, so look for us at ISC and ESX and other shows on that circuit. And if you are interested, you can go to that same website, BeOnHome.com, and if you scroll to the bottom, there's a dealer sign up area where dealers specifically can sign up. So that same website accommodates both our end customers and our channel partners.
Awesome. Well, I've really enjoyed the conversation, and we can kind of start to wrap up here. And as we do, I'll just ask you one last question, and that's sort of what's next for BeON? What are you guys working on and getting excited about these days?
If you want to know the answer to that question, there's actually an email sign up that will kind of put you on the list to be the first to know. But let me give you one teaser. Coming back to the doorbell, so you can imagine if somebody rings your doorbell and a light turns on, you might want to add sound. So the light turns on in your bedroom, and you hear a baby crying, and then the light turns on in the hallway. You hear footsteps. Light turns on in the entranceway, and you hear a shotgun cocking. And you can customize and be as aggressive as you want. So the sounder also provides daytime protection for daytime break-ins as well. So we're already developing the sounder module, so that'll be a real fun one for people to add to their home protection system.
Awesome. Love it. Well, I think you guys have a lot of great ideas, and I think it's a really innovative product, and I would encourage our listeners to go check you out. And if, I'll let you plug the website here one more time. If our listeners do want to do that and learn more about the product, or maybe connect with you personally, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, BeOnHome.com. We're actively adding new content to it every day. Sign up for our list, so you'll be the first to know when we have new promotions and new products. And of course, we want to keep those orders rolling in. So we certainly encourage you to take a look. And if you have any questions, there's chat, and there's all kinds of ways to get in touch with us.
Awesome. Well, Alexei, again, I really enjoyed the conversation and appreciate you taking the time to come on to Home Tech and join us. We'll let you go. Thanks so much.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jason. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Awesome. Well, that concludes our interview with Alexei. And once again, I really enjoyed it. Had a great time chatting with him. If you're interested in finding out any more or seeing, any of the links that we referenced in that conversation, you can do that at HomeTech.fm/75. Again, that's HomeTech.fm/75. And as we're closing out here, I just want to mention that HomeTech.fm is a proud member of the Technology.fm family. That's a great website. If you're not familiar with it, I would highly encourage you to go check it out. It's a podcast network of sorts. It's got a number of other shows related to the smart home. The Smart Home Show by Mike Wolf. Mike is the curator of that website. Also, Home On by Richard Gunther is a great show that you should go check out. But it's not just smart home stuff. There's also a number of other podcasts listed on that site for people that are interested in podcasts and technology and all that. So we'd encourage you to go check that out. Once again, that is Technology.fm. Like we always say on this show, and we hammer on it for a reason, because it really does help us. If you're a fan of the show, if you think it's entertaining, you think it's educational, hopefully you think it's both, please stop by iTunes and leave us a review. That is one way that you can really help us kind of show up in those search results and help more people find the show. So once again, just stop by iTunes, leave us a review. If you have any suggestions at all, any comments, any feedback, stop by the website, HomeTech.fm/feedback. Another great way to get a hold of us is on Twitter at HomeTech Podcast. And we thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to chatting with you next week. Take care.